I am in dire need of a caffeine boost. On this gloomy day, it's the kind of sky that looks like it could snow. It's not gonna snow, but it looks like it could. I'm in the Starbucks line, I'm inching forward, and I'm going cold brew today, baby, because I need some energy and I need it fast. One of the things I thought I would share for Vlogmas was my 22 for 2022. Just try saying 2022. It doesn't sound right. It doesn't feel right in my words when I'm saying it yet, but I feel like I went through this with 2021 as well. Well, I got this idea of doing this kind of list, like 19 for 2019, 20 for 2020. Author Gretchen Rubin, who's one of my very favorite authors. She writes about happiness and habits. This will be my 4th year to really think about it and invest in those things. 2021 was the most successful because I started bullet journaling and I put that list in the front of my bullet journal. So I had constant, easy access to it. And so I was just checking it more often. And then also for my podcast, I always do a mid-year resolution check-in. And I realized that I had hit more things on that list this year. And I actually printed out my 22 for 2022 for another reason, but it's here with me. I was going to use this printout for Vlogmas anyway, and I thought, why don't I just start talking about it in the Starbucks line? So this is what I realized after an analysis, that I had 3 financial goals, 3 nutrition goals, 1 fitness goal, 5 business goals, 4 personal goals, moving forward, and 5 travel related goals. Some of these items I transferred over from this year's, but some just kind of came out of nowhere. So first up is to make a Facts of Life book. This is another idea that I got from Gretchen Rubin. So the Facts of Life book is supposed to contain documents pertaining to your life. So that might be tax documents, prescription information, a will, and different legal documents. You know, if you own a house, information about that. Bank records, school records, all of those things, so that it is all contained in one place. I just think that's such a good idea. Just a really good practice. Right now, I have a lot of that gathered in one book. I guess I sort of started it late last year, but I want to formalize it and keep it in that fireproof safe. Some of the resolutions on my annual lists are one-time things. Sometimes they are about building a habit consistently throughout the year. Sometimes it's a purchase. It's just whatever you want the year to look like. Next up is to finish 1 audiobook and 1 actual physical book per month. I created a list and put it in the front of my bullet journal this year of all the audiobooks and book books that I wanted to complete this year, but I didn't have a plan. That's the deal. That's the thing. Like, specificity when setting goals is always beneficial, like making an actual plan for it. So I think that this goal will help me do that. Like, it's specific enough that rather than having a nebulous list, I'll knock one off each month. Buy 1 Pathos. A Pathos is a kind of plant. It's a plant that I've had. It's the first kind of plant I ever got when I was a kid, and I've always loved them. They are so easy to maintain, so easy. And I had set a goal of buying new house plants for this year, which I did. I bought 2 of them. But usually before I do something like that, I'll put a lot of research into it. And this one time, I just spontaneously got some cute plants that I liked, and they both died. I don't know. I don't think I'm too bad with plants, but after I got them, I did the research after I got home, and they're just pretty finicky little guys. So they brought me joy and happiness while they graced my presence. But I think this year, again, make an actual plan. I'm just going to get another Pathos. Next on my list is to do a full house declutter over the course of the year. I have this doubtful tone in my voice because things may have changed now. So that might be one that I replace, because a full house declutter isn't going to take me very long, as we'll talk about in another video. And I think I might do it before Christmas. Get into walking, especially some local trails and parks that I've just really, one I discovered just a few weeks ago. There's a nice one that's not too far from me, but just getting out of the house. Target acquired. Next up are my 3 nutritional goals. I want to, 1, continue reducing my sugar intake, which I've made some good progress toward this year, learned some things, taken some steps toward that. And so I want to continue that next year. I want to eat half an avocado every day, and I want to start eating fish once a week. I know that technically it's good to eat fish 2 or 3 times a week, but it's more about building the habit and starting small. Next up are a few financial goals. 1 is to continue building my emergency savings account, which I've got a good start on, and I'll continue taking steps toward that. Another one that I won't go into with great specificity concerns tackling student loans in a different way. And so I've already started that this year, so I'll continue down that path. And then related to those 2 are this idea that I had at the beginning of November, which is to do no spend challenges. I suppose other people probably talk about this kind of thing, but the idea came to me out of nowhere, I guess. And the idea is to designate a certain period of time, a week, 2, 3 weeks, maybe a month, where I am not spending money except on what I did one just to see how I would do at the beginning of November. And the nice thing was that I immediately identified a few habits that I have that I hadn't noticed before. So it was already been very illuminating, and I think it'll be helpful over the course of next year. Next up are my travel related goals. To say travel is a little much. It's more like getting out of the house kind of goals. 1 is to, travel to the Chicago area because my niece graduates high school in May. That would be like my one big trip of the year. Chicago is a long drive. I think it's like 13 hours from where I live, and it will be an expense. So that'll be kind of the big thing that I do. I'm looking forward to that. I'd also really like to go on a writing retreat somewhere close to home, but not super exciting, because I want my writing retreat to be where I can edit my memoir, and I will do preparation before it so that when I go on this writing retreat, I can really focus in and get a lot done in a short period of time. As I've mentioned before, I'm an Enneagram 1, and Enneagram 1s are perfectionists, very rule-oriented, very habit-oriented, and it's very difficult for us to have fun. That's always been the case for me to break away from habits and do something fun and get into a mode where I'm not just constantly feeling the weight of responsibility. It's been suggested that takes getting out of the house. So it's been a rough couple of years in that sense. And so, doing that a little more often, like little 1-day trips, I'm going to think about that. I don't know how exactly I would implement that. I don't want to spend a lot of money on it. So I'm thinking like a day trip to Tulsa or other parts of Oklahoma, sticking around somewhere close. And, it's not a big to do, but just breaking out of my norm, even if I think it's just for a few hours in a day. I think that would still be helpful. I really, really want to get an annual pass to the Oklahoma City Museum of Art and the Oklahoma City Zoo. I had that idea shortly before, March of 2020. And so I haven't pursued those ideas yet, but I love those places. The Oklahoma City Zoo is a great place to get outside with plenty of shade. I do not like being in the sun, but I also have an environmentalist little bend in me for sure. My first way of being an activist was being a child environmental activist from ages 9 to about 11. That is 100% true. I am not making a joke at all. I took it very seriously. And then I just love the Oklahoma City Museum of Art. It's so peaceful and beautiful in there that I can't help but feel creative when I'm in that space. And then my last get out of the house resolution is literally find botanical gardens and go to them. When I was writing this list, that just popped into my head out of nowhere, but I have always loved botanical gardens. Why don't I go to botanical gardens more often? It's super cloudy out and overcast, but it's just such a habit for me to have my sunglasses on. Well, so I'll take them off for the rest of this video. The next set of goals are business related. So one is to create an attainable, sustainable, realistic social media strategy for the year. It's harder for me to do that when I'm just talking about myself for some reason, but I know that there's a way to do it. Another goal is to keep up my bullet journal trackers. I had all these beautiful trackers and I know the goals that I want to track. It's just triggering that reminder to actually write down the things I do, to just fill in the tracker somehow. So I've got a few ideas that might include like stickers, fun shaped stickers that would maybe like remind me, oh, I want to use my fun shaped stickers. And so that might help me remember to fill in those trackers. But I've got a few ideas for working out a way to remind myself and building the habit of keeping track of my habits. Another business goal is to intentionally build my blog. So I spent all of NaNoWriMo during November doing a lot of writing that can apply to both my podcast and the blog. So I feel like I have already taken some appreciable steps toward that, but now it's just a matter of implementing them. Well, I'll definitely have to make a plan for that, and probably will have to designate like a month where that is what I focus on. The next goal is also writing related. It's to edit my memoir probably a few times over the next year, and by the end of 2022 have a draft that's actually readable, that I wouldn't cringe 100% at someone reading, and have a draft ready for beta readers. That's a real reach. This is another reach/stretch goal, and that is to publish a new item on Etsy every week. I have so many ideas for items called the Making Your Impact shop on Etsy. That might change. We'll see. But in any case, the products would all be available through my website, which is melissaike.com. That's me. And I guess that's it. I think I went through all 22 of my 22 for 2022. How many more times will I say 22? How many more times will I say the number 22? Probably a few. Okay, let me just double check. Yeah, that looks like it. If you have goals for next year, resolutions, I love hearing what other people's are. So if you want to drop, you don't have to do 22 of them. And if you have 22, you don't have to share all 22 of them. But if you even want to drop in the comments what you're thinking of maybe possibly setting as a goal for next year, I would love to hear. Thank you so much for joining me for this edition of Vlogmas. If you would take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel, I'd be ever so grateful. And you can follow me on Instagram at Melissa Ike, Ike spelled E-I-C-K. And I will see you back here for more Vlogmas.